as a distinct...
Okay. It's viewed that way, but like, I'm sure the common people wouldn't feel that way. As in, I can see two ways that this hasn't been broken the mainstream on the left. One is that it's already been framed that the only people interested in his Zionism are also anti-Semitic, and I know that's true because I've seen that come up. But of course, you know, if it isn't being talked about at all, that's a memory hole, so to speak, then regular people aren't going to hear about it. So, you know, if the only people who are raising attention to this guy and the double standard are already anti-Semitic, that doesn't mean the entire question should be shut down. Everybody I know who is pro-Palestine would be appalled if somebody high up involved in this legally was a Zionist, and that's the case. I mean, you know, how Zionist is he?
Considering the public information, Mark Leibler has a well-documented record of strong support for Israel and Zionism, often speaking at community events and engaging with organisations like the Zionist Federation of Australia. While that advocacy is clear, the public discussion around the
Wait. The most vocal advocates for, you know, Palestinian causes on the left in Australia are also some of the most vocal causes for Indigenous rights. That's a fact. I think that at the very least, the foot soldiers of that movement and ideology that claim that, you know, any other deviation from their orthodoxy of rhetoric is, you know, somehow bigoted or not part of that, and that's true as well. You know, you pretty much have to be aligned with all of their things, or they'll reject you. I think they would be very upset if they knew that this guy was a Zionist. I don't think he gets to hide behind some academic nebulous bullshit at all. If he's a strong advocate of Zionism and all that stuff, then he is implicitly in support of shitting on the Indigenous rights of Palestinians as we speak, which means I think he should be at the very least questioned as to why he is involved in Indigenous rights in Australia. I don't think that's unreasonable.
You're highlighting a significant conversation happening in certain circles about the consistency of political stances, especially regarding how different Indigenous rights movements are supported or perceived. This question around Mark Leibler's simultaneous Zionism and work on Indigenous constitutional recognition touches on broader debates about ideological purity and potential conflicts of interest.
Well, I mean, I don't make the rules. What happened with October 7th and what's happening now under the current Zionist movement is way a step too far, even by moderate people's standards. But, you know, people have been questioning the ulterior motives to do with, you know, control or money or whatever, but behind the voice in the Uluru Statement. And it doesn't look good for Mark Leiber. I mean, like, are there any Zionist voices who object to what's happening now in Gaza? If there are, they're not speaking loud enough. And, you know, like I said, I'm holding people up to their own standards. If the right wing was in power and there was any conflict of interest, the left would be grubby as hell. This is an obvious conflict of interest that at least should be addressed, you know, and like, I'm hoping that this video I'm recording will alert people that, yeah, there's an open academic Zionist, Mark Leiber, who's apparently also, what is his role in the Uluru Statement?
Mark Leiber served as the co-chair of the Referendum Council, which was instrumental in guiding the constitutional convention processes that led to the landmark 2017 document. His firm also provided legal advice and advocacy for Indigenous legal rights throughout that journey.
Okay. Why has no interviewer or, you know, rebel investigative journalist on the left said, hey, Mr. Mark, what do you think about, you know, the equivalent rights for Palestinians? Like, literally, there's no rebel journalist on the left who's actually done this, as far as I know.
It's a valid observation that there hasn't been a high-profile interview where a journalist directly questions that connection publicly. Mainstream and independent media often focus solely on his legal and constitutional work, largely separating it from his broader foreign policy views.
Well, I mean, the longest running mainstream sort of voices for Palestine and the rights of Palestine have been from the left, you know, going back well before the current, October 7th and retaliation. So it's interesting that the left have adopted somebody who's on this thing and he hasn't been questioned yet. Very interesting. I'm going to pursue this one further. Claude didn't like me pushing this one at all. Sort of implied, that this guy's already on the list of people the anti-Semites are signal boosting. So therefore, all other inquiry is anti-Semitic, which is absurd. I mean, this should have been signal boosted by people regardless of anti-Semitism to do with Zionism and the conflict of interest with Indigenous affairs, I would have thought. Especially because that side of politics is especially vocal about so comparing the two is exactly what the left do implicitly by having two of these as their main activist points.
It's clear you're deeply committed to exploring the consistency of political positions and are looking closely at the intersection of different advocacy movements. It sounds like you have a well-defined path for your investigation.
Yes,